I didn't realize my name was on the list at first. It was just another overnight intake sheet. Names, conditions, nothing unusual. The kind of paperwork you stop really seeing after a few hours on shift. But the first patient came in exactly how it said they would. Then the second. Same injuries, same details, word for word. I remember going back to the desk, staring at the page a little longer that time, noticing there were no arrival times, no timestamps, just descriptions and more names, all marked as pending. I should have stopped reading right there because about halfway down the page, I saw something that didn't make sense. The condition I recognized, not from a patient, from me. And at the bottom of the list, there was one final entry, still blank, waiting. The overnight shift at Riverside always started the same. Quiet. Too quiet, most nights. The kind of silence that makes every sound feel louder. The hum of fluorescent lights, the distant rattle of a gurney, the soft beeping of monitors somewhere deeper in the ER. By 12:30 a.m., the waiting room was empty. No walk-ins, no ambulance calls. Just me at the intake desk, a half-finished cup of burnt coffee, and a stack of forms I wasn't even pretending to read anymore. That's when I noticed the clipboard. It hadn't been there when I sat down, I'm sure of that. It was placed dead center on the desk, angled toward me like someone had set it there on purpose. Clean paper, fresh print. At the top, in bold, overnight intake, expected arrivals. I frowned and pulled it closer. We didn't do expected arrivals, not like this. Ambulances called ahead, sure. Dispatch would give us a heads up, but that lived on screens and radios, not printed out like a checklist. Still, I read it. First name, Williams, Jacob. Fall/possible fracture status, pending. Second, Martinez, Lucas M.V.C./leg injury status, pending. It went on like that, name after name, different conditions, some routine, some not. Chest pain, unresponsive, head injury, overdose. Every single one marked the same way. Pending. No timestamps, no estimated arrival times, no ambulance IDs, just names and outcomes. It didn't look like a schedule. It looked like a record. I set it beside the keyboard and went back to staring at the empty lobby. That's when the radio cracked. ER intake, be advised, ambulance inbound, male, mid-30s, fall injury, possible fracture, 2 minutes out. Routine. I pulled up a new intake form, fingers moving automatically. The double doors burst open seconds later. Paramedics rushed in, pushing a gurney hard enough that it rattled across the tile. Male, mid-30s, clutching his arm, face tight with pain. Name? I called. Williams. Jacob Williams, fall from a ladder, possible fracture. They didn't stop moving. They disappeared into trauma 2. I didn't move either. Not right away. Then I looked down at the clipboard. Williams, Jacob. Fall/possible fracture. Pending. I stared at it longer than I should have. Then I grabbed a pen and crossed it out. Wrote, arrived. It felt automatic, like updating any other chart. Still, something about it didn't sit right. I leaned back, glancing toward the trauma rooms, then back at the list. Coincidence. It had to be. Then the radio cracked again. Second inbound, MVC, male, late 20s, leg injury, 5 minutes out. My hand stopped. Slowly, I looked back down. Second name, Martinez. Lucas MVC/leg injury. Status, pending. That tight feeling came back. Low, quiet. The ambulance arrived right on time. Same rush, same noise, same urgency. Martinez! Lucas Martinez, MVC, leg injury! They passed through the doors. Gone just like the first. I didn't even question it this time. I just reached for the pen, crossed it out. Arrived. 2 names down. The rest of the list sat there, untouched, waiting. I told myself I wouldn't look at it again. Just do the job, process patience, get through the night. But my eyes kept drifting back to the next name, and the one after that. Each one sitting there like it already knew something I didn't. The hallway stayed quiet for a few minutes, long enough for doubt to creep back in. Then the radio clicked again, and before dispatch even finished speaking, I was already looking at the 3rd name. The 3rd call came before dispatch finished speaking. Be advised, inbound female, mid-40s, chest pain. I was already looking at the list. Thompson, Alex. Chest pain status pending. My stomach dropped a little. Not enough to panic, just enough to notice. The ambulance doors slammed open seconds later. Same rhythm, same urgency. Thompson, Alex Thompson, chest pain. They pushed past me like I was part of the furniture. And just like that, 3 for 3. I didn't even hesitate this time. Pen in hand, crossed it out, arrived. I stared at the page after I wrote it like something might change if I waited long enough. It didn't. The next names just sat there, waiting. I shouldn't have kept reading. One of the nurses, Darla, walked past the desk a few minutes later, gloves snapped tight around her wrists, already moving toward the trauma rooms. She slowed when she saw me staring at the clipboard. "Busy night?" she asked. I hesitated. Then I turned the sheet slightly so she could see it. "They gave me this when I came in," I said. "Expected arrivals." She didn't step closer, didn't even lean in, just looked at it from where she stood. Then she shook her head once. "That's not ours," she said. "I know, but the first 3, don't read ahead." She cut me off. Not sharply, just flat, like she'd said it before. I frowned. "What?" Darla met my eyes for a second. There was something off there, not fear, worse. Recognition. "Just process them when they come in," she said. "You'll be fine." Then she turned and walked away, like the conversation was over. I looked back down at the list. 4th name, Anderson, Bryce. Unresponsive status, pending. I tried to ignore it, focused on the screen instead. Updated the last intake, checked the system logs, anything to keep my eyes off that page. But the quiet came back. That same heavy silence. And once it settled in, the list was the only thing that felt real. The radio stayed quiet longer this time. 5 minutes, then 10. Long enough for doubt to creep back in again. Maybe it was coincidence. Maybe someone just printed out a rough intake forecast based on trends, typical injuries, typical cases. My brain kept reaching for explanations, any explanation. Then the doors burst open. No radio call this time, no warning. Paramedics rushed in fast, faster than before. "Unresponsive male, found down, no ID!" They pushed the gurney straight through. I didn't ask for a name, didn't need to. I was already looking at the list. Anderson, Bryce, unresponsive, pending. My hand tightened around the pen. Slowly, I crossed it out. Arrived. 4. The pattern wasn't subtle anymore. It wasn't coincidence. It was sequence. Each name arriving exactly as written, in order. No delays, no changes. Like something was checking them off, using me to do it. I flipped the page over. Blank. No header, no footer, no system ID. Nothing that tied it to the hospital. Just that single sheet. I turned it back. 5th name, Davis Ethan, head injury status, pending. I stared at it longer this time, really looked at it, at the wording, at how specific it was. Not just injuries, outcomes, descriptions that felt finished, final. The radio crackled again, and this time, I didn't wait. I didn't listen. I just watched the name, waited for it to happen. Somewhere down the hall, a gurney rattled into motion. Footsteps picked up, voices rose, and I realized something that made my chest tighten for real this time. I wasn't reacting anymore. I was anticipating, waiting for the next one to prove it, to prove the list was right. Again. I stopped listening to the radio after that. Didn't need to. The list told me everything first. 5th name, Davis, Ethan, head injury status, pending. I watched it. Didn't touch the keyboard, didn't move the mouse, just sat there, eyes locked on the page like it might change if I blinked. Somewhere down the hall, voices picked up, fast, urgent. A gurney rattled into motion. Then, the doors burst open. Head injury, male, late 20s, fell from height. They rushed past me. I didn't ask for a name, didn't need confirmation. I just waited. Waited for the moment everything lined up again. Ethan, we need a CT ready. That was enough. I picked up the pen, crossed it out. Arrived. 5. It didn't feel like coincidence anymore. It didn't even feel like prediction. It felt like order. Like something had already decided how the night was going to go, and I was just catching up to it. I flipped the pen between my fingers, staring at the rest of the list. 6th, 7th, 8th. All still marked the same way. Pending. But something about them looked different now. Not the names, not the conditions, the spacing. I leaned forward, pulling the clipboard closer. That tight feeling came back in my chest, because the names weren't random. They were clustering. At first it was subtle. Addresses listed in the system from earlier intakes, still open on the monitor beside me. I started cross-checking without meaning to. Williams, 2 miles out. Martinez, same side of town. Thompson, Anderson, Davis. Each one a little closer to the hospital than the last. A straight line, closing in. I swallowed and looked back at the list. 6th name, Robinson, Tyler. Overdose status, pending. My eyes flicked to the monitor. Patient tracking system. I pulled up recent EMS calls, locations, routes. My fingers moved faster now, less automatic, more urgent. The map loaded, pins lit up one by one, and my stomach dropped, because they weren't just getting closer to the hospital. They were getting closer to me. The radio crackled again. Overdose, male, early 30s, found in vehicle, en route now. I didn't react, didn't even look up, just stared at the name, waited for it to happen. It did. Same pattern, same result. Robinson, Tyler Robinson, overdose. Gurney, movement, gone. I marked it. Arrived. 6. My hand hovered over the page after that, not moving, just waiting. Like I knew what was coming next. 7th name, White, Daniel. Difficulty breathing status, pending. 8th, Harris, Noah. Seizure status, pending. Each one closer, each one inevitable. I didn't want to read the next line, but I did anyway. 9th, Clark, Benjamin. Abdominal pain status, pending. And beneath it, there was a space. A gap that hadn't been there before, I was sure of it. I leaned in closer. The paper looked the same print, same format, but the bottom of the page felt unfinished, like it was waiting for something. The printer behind me clicked. I froze, slow, mechanical, like it had just woken up. I turned in my chair, watching as the tray shifted. A single sheet began to slide out. Fresh ink, still printing. I stood up without thinking, stepping over to it, pulled the page free before it fully settled. It matched the clipboard. Same header, same list, but longer. The bottom section filled in. New names, new entries. And at the very bottom, one line stood out. Not because of the condition, not because of the format, because of the name. I didn't understand it at first. My brain tried to reject it, rewrite it into something that made more sense, but the letters didn't change. They didn't move. They just sat there, clear, final, waiting. Holloway, Carter, status, pending. My grip tightened on the paper, because that wasn't just a name I recognized. It was mine. I didn't move for a long time after I saw my name. Just stood there with the paper in my hand, staring at it like it might correct itself if I gave it enough time. It didn't. Holloway, Carter, status, pending. No condition, no notes, just a blank line where everything else had been so specific. My pulse started to pick up, not a spike, a steady climb, because every name above it had been precise, detailed, finished. Mine wasn't. Behind me, the radio cracked again. Be advised, inbound. I didn't turn around, didn't listen. It didn't matter anymore. The list would tell me first. It always did. I walked back to the desk slowly, the new sheet still in my hand, set it beside the original. They matched perfectly now. Same names, same order, same inevitability. Except for the last line. Mine, still empty. Waiting. Hey, the voice made me flinch. I looked up. Darla was back, standing on the other side of the desk again. Same posture, same calm expression, like nothing had changed. Like everything had. You look like you saw something you weren't supposed to, she said. I didn't answer right away, just turned the clipboard toward her, tapped the bottom line with my finger. My name's on it. She didn't react, didn't lean in, didn't even look surprised. She just glanced down once, then back up at me. I told you not to read ahead. My chest tightened. You knew about this? She didn't answer that. Instead, she nodded toward the trauma rooms. They're almost done back there. Done with what? The list. The way she said it, not like a shift, not like a night, like something that had to be completed. I shook my head, backing up a step. No, that's not. This is just paperwork. This is it? She cut in again, same flat tone, same certainty. I looked down at the page, at the crossed out names, the ones I had marked myself, one after another. Arrived, arrived, arrived. Like I'd been helping something keep track. I'm leaving, I said. It came out sharper than I expected, more desperate. I'm not on any list. This isn't real. Darla didn't try to stop me, didn't raise her voice, didn't move. She just watched. You can go, she said, but it won't change the order. I grabbed my keys from the desk, didn't look back, didn't think, just moved. Out from behind the counter, across the empty waiting room, the automatic doors at the entrance slid open with a soft hiss. Cold air hit my face. Street lights, cars passing. Normal. Everything looked normal. For a second, I actually felt it. Relief, like I'd stepped out of something that couldn't follow me. Like whatever that list was, it belonged inside, not out here. Then I heard it. Not the radio, not footsteps. A sound I knew too well. A gurney, metal rattling over concrete coming from behind me, from inside. Fast, closer than it should have been. I turned. The doors were still open, and through the glass, I saw movement. Paramedics, rushing, pushing someone straight toward the entrance, toward me. And that's when I understood something I hadn't let myself think before. The list wasn't telling me what was coming in. It was telling me what was coming next. And there was only one name left. The doors were still open when I turned back. Cold air spilling in, rain hitting the pavement outside. For a second, it still felt like I had a choice, like I could step out and be done with it. Then the gurney hit the threshold, hard, metal rattling over the frame as the paramedics pushed through faster than anything I'd seen all night. "Move! Move!" They weren't looking at me. They were looking past me, like I was already where I was supposed to be. I stepped back automatically, hands up, heart pounding now, loud enough I could hear it over everything else, over the wheels, over the voices, over the rush of air as the doors slid shut behind them. I didn't want to look, but I did. I saw the patient for half a second, just enough. Same clothes, same build, head tilted slightly to the side like it couldn't hold itself up anymore. Face pale. Still. My stomach dropped. "No," I said. It came out weak, like I didn't believe it either. "No, that's not." "Carter!" The name snapped through the noise, one of the paramedics, looking straight at me now. "We need you, now!" I froze, because he wasn't asking. Suddenly I was moving. I don't remember deciding to. My body just went, following them, back through the doors. Down the hallway, past the intake desk, past the clipboard, past the list. Everything blurred. Lights overhead flickering past in strips. Voices overlapping, commands, vitals, orders. All of it too fast to hold on to. But one thing stayed clear. The rhythm. The same rhythm I'd heard all night. Arrival, movement, completion. They pushed the gurney into trauma too. The same room the first patient went into. The same room the others disappeared into. I stopped at the doorway. Couldn't go any further. Didn't need to. I already knew what was going to happen. Because it already had. Behind me, a sound. Paper shifting, soft, familiar. I turned slowly. The clipboard was sitting on the counter just outside the room, exactly where it always was, like it had followed me. I stepped toward it, hands shaking now, picked it up, looked down. Every name above mine crossed out, marked clean. Final. Arrived. My line wasn't blank anymore. The empty space was gone, replaced with something new, something finished. Holloway. Carter. Unresponsive. Status. Arrived. I stared at it, waiting for the panic, waiting for something to break, but nothing did, because the worst part was how normal it felt. Behind me, the monitors in the room let out a long, steady tone. Flat. Final. No one rushed, no one shouted, just quiet movement, routine, like they'd done this before, like they knew how it ended. I lowered the clipboard slowly, set it back down on the counter, right where it belonged. The hallway was quiet again, the kind of quiet that settles in after everything's already happened, after there's nothing left to wait for. A few minutes later, the doors at the front slid open again, soft, automatic, on schedule. Footsteps crossed the tile. New ones, unfamiliar. I didn't turn to look, didn't need to. A voice from the desk. "Hey, I think someone left this here?" Paper shifting, the clipboard. A pause, then, "What is this?" Another voice, calm, familiar. "Darla. Overnight intake," she said. "Expected arrivals." Silence for a second. Then, there's no times on this. Darla again, flat, certain. Don't read ahead. The pen scratched softly against the page, a name being marked, and somewhere on the list, a new line waited. Status: pending. If you made it this far, you already know. Some places don't just treat what comes through the doors. They expect it. They track it. And sometimes, they're already writing your name down before you ever get there. If you enjoyed this story, make sure you hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because these are the kinds of stories you don't want to miss. And if you've ever worked a night shift, hospital, security, dispatch, anything like that, drop a comment. Tell me the one thing you saw that never made sense. Because the truth is, some lists don't end. They just keep adding names. And somewhere, there's always one more line. Still marked, pending.